So currently I'm working as a journalist at a media company. If you're talking about weaknesses, they don't want you to end with my weakness is this.
I guess without portfolio for design, it's really stupid to apply for the job.
They are basically asking for what's your weaknesses and what are you doing to overcome that.
We also upload your marital status, like if they're married or not. How can you tailor your resume?
Ones with like a lot of work-related experience, of course, is a plus. Computer skills, like language skills or design skills, whatever.
Then again, they would also check your Grooming there. The questions that we ask in Korean were, what are your strengths? Just don't think about your own thing and listen to what other people are thinking. Many of you are curious about how to land a job in Korea, how to prepare for the resume, how to ace an interview. And today we are going to talk about all of that. Hi, welcome to JIMK, the channel where we are talking about various things about Korea, and today's topic is job market in Korea. And we brought our guest who talked about various things, part-time jobs, full-time jobs last time, and today we are going to talk about how to ace a job, how to get a job in Korea. Welcome, Nidhi, one more time.
Hi, I'm Nidhi here again.
Today we are going to talk about, I guess, how to write a resume, how to apply for the job, and what are the expectations that Korean companies have when they do the interviews, and what are the next steps about it. So I guess let's start right away. But before we start, I want to talk a little bit more about, I want to get your experience, like what kind of job you're doing and what was the process?
So currently I'm working as a journalist at a media company. And before that, I also worked in other industries like PR. I also worked at a PR agency. And before that, I also worked as an intern at another newspaper.
That's awesome. And do you think like all these three companies, when you applied for it, and I think you must have applied for some other companies as well, like do they have similar job process?
I mean, hiring like step-wise, I think it's similar, like resume, written test, interview, and then kind of making final announcement. But I think like specific requirements could be different. Like, for example, right now we're English newspapers, so I was requested to submit both English and Korean resume CVs.
Oh yeah.
But for the PR company, it was just strictly Korean. So for that one, it was just like Korean resume and Korean cover letter.
That's awesome. Okay, so when we talk about resumes, let's get into the resumes. So we have like 4 steps here, right? Resume, then written test or a task submission, and then the interview. If it's a big company, there's one more interview, and then getting for a job, like negotiation part kind of thing. So starting from resume. Korean resumes are different.
Yes.
From my experience, I also applied for lots of jobs before, and they have their specific format. They have the format. Okay, can you walk us through what kind of format Korean movies have?
So if I'm talking about like real traditional formats, first you need a photo, although that might be surprising. Yes.
You do need a photo.
Yes.
You need a clean background. Nice photo of yours.
And then it's the personal information like name, English name as well, and then your contacts like phone, email. And some companies sort of ask for your address as well.
Yes,
some do, some don't, but address as well.
I guess the reason for that is like for them to know how far and the commute and everything.
And then next is like, I think the latter part is kind of similar to like all Western resumes. Like you go along with education, work, or extracurricular experience, and then like skills, and then putting all that in one page.
Okay, so I do understand that. So what can we do to make a resume stand out? Because like they get lots of candidates and everybody's applying to that. So to get through the first step, what should a person should include in their resume?
I mean, work experience part is going to be the part where HR managers like go straight into. And like Korean resumes, you're going to list your experiences, and then there's going to be like another column where you kind of describe what you did. And rather than like simply stating your roles, I think it's best to like go into depth about like your actual accomplishments, like if you got like any awards, anything, kind of going into like actual performances is going to make you stand out, even if you have the same work experience.
What if I don't win an award before? What if I have no award?
Like, even if you don't have an award, I think it's best to kind of make it seem like you did something really good. Like, for example, even if you just did like volunteer work, say like, if you volunteer for like an international conference, like I gained global experience.
Yeah, like putting that. So nowadays there are so many AI job resume AIs as well that people use, but those are mainly for the English speaking things. I don't think there is anything for the Korean yet. So I'm not sure like how they can pass that first stage, but what the English resume AI told us is like a lot of companies use that for screening kind of services. So they look for specific keywords that are mentioned in the job posting. So if you're including those keywords in your resume somewhere and maybe also highlighting those, then those are the keywords that comes to the hiring person's eyes right after that. I guess that can be one of the strategy that people can go for. But that is not only it for the Korean resume, So when I was applying, they also have something called like CV, which is not really a CV, but it's like a couple of questions that they want you to write about. Like, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Why should we hire you? What are you looking for in your future goals?
Like, they're called 자기소개서, and I always struggle to find the right English word. Like, they're technically not CVs.
Yeah, this 자기소개서 is like my personal introduction kind of a thing, and they have those 4 or 5 questions.
They have like specific questions you have to answer, and they're like, what your strengths and weaknesses, like why did you apply, like what's your goals after you start working, kind of those questions.
Any accomplishment that you have done that you want tell us, right? Those kind of things, those are the hardest possible documents that I had to submit, is because you have to know about that company, you have to research through that company. And if you're applying for 10 different jobs, that means it's like a really hard job to do, right? So what can they include in those? Like, do you have any tips for 자기소개서 when they're writing it?
For me, I actually made like I say spreadsheet of like all the things I did. Also, I listed all like programs, like volunteer work, anything I did as a student, and I kind of wrote keywords that kind of go for each experience. And then every time I wrote one of those 자기소개서, I would just look at those spreadsheets and be like, how can I link that to the position I'm applying for? And I just took it from the spreadsheet and kind of made it into like a paragraph. I think that can make it a bit easier.
That would be really, really interesting. I guess that is a really best step to do. I guess what I struggle with is writing strength and weaknesses, because like every company see any strength as like a different strength. For them, that cannot be a strength, right? So for that, I really had to go through the job description again and like look at, if it's a marketing job, then what can be the strength, like the creativity can be the strength. But if it's a HR job, then they are not looking for creativity. They are looking for somebody who is like organized and kind at the same time, and who is okay to talk to people about let goes and like even doing the hard job. Because HR is always a bad person in any company. Like, I never liked my HR in any company. So I guess like depending on that, you have to see like what you can write as your strengths and weaknesses. Are there anything, like, is there anything that companies are looking for from those? Like, what is the purpose of having that?
To be honest, I think they probably look at, like, if you're talking about weaknesses, they don't want you to end with, my weakness is this. They are basically asking for what's your weaknesses and what are you doing to overcome that. So you need to go like an extra step saying, I do blah, blah, blah to kind of overcome, or I'm willing to do whatever to overcome my weakness. And I think that's the part that companies are looking for, rather than what's my strength and weakness.
Well, how should you format these resumes? So when you're writing a resume, 자기소개서 is like one page kind of thing where they might give you the format, but when you're formatting your resume, is there any format that they have to go for? Like, I do know the image has to be, your photo has to be on the top. Nowadays, lots of companies do not require to do that, but still, it has to be on the top, and then in foreign, in India at least, we go with summary, then we go with experience, education, extracurricular activities, awards.
For me, I was always like photo, personal information, and then education, and then work or extra experience, and then kind of skills like language or like computer or design skills, and then that kind of fit into one page. Yeah.
Oh, so lots of Indian people have two-page resumes as well, right? So in Korea, they have just one page that you should put everything.
Yeah. Actually, the companies say like we want a one-page resume because they want something that just goes straight to their eye that they can read in one kind of eye.
Is there anything, so these companies, most of the times big companies are going through maybe 100, 200 resumes at once. And how to stand out? Is there any like things that they can do with their resumes like bold or like different color or something? Should they do that or should they not do that?
I don't know, like maybe not like color, but you can bold. I think you can bold. And also one thing, you can submit portfolios as well. Especially for, I guess, like marketing, design, video, portfolios are considered like a huge plus.
No, I guess without portfolio for design, it's really stupid to apply for the job. Like, I'm good at Photoshop. It's like, how do I know? What did you submit? Submit something, or like at least add the link of your drive link or something, and check if those links are working.
Yes.
Okay, so I also hire people, and these are the couple of things that I found out. It's just like literally, no matter how experienced you are, if these things are there, it's a big no. Is when you submit a resume in Word format, like if they are submitting a Word file, that's a big no for me. Why are you submitting a Word file? PDF is a normal thing. Just submit in a PDF. And if they're submitting, even the portfolio, if they are submitting in a PowerPoint, that means I can edit on your portfolio, then that's again a big no. It's like, don't do that. If they have spelling errors, even in Korean, if you're writing in Korean, if you have spelling errors in that, then that's like, okay, why do you have a spelling error in that? Third, if their links are not working. If their links are like, why did you check? So that says that you are not, what is it called, kumkume? Or like detail-oriented kind of a person. And lots of Korean companies don't like that. Korean companies love detailing, right? And like those are a couple of things that just tells me no. And a couple of times people do not read, like if they're applying on LinkedIn, for example, and LinkedIn have this easy application, right? And also like we talked about album and those kind of things. So if you upload your resume, it just goes straight to that, which is not a good way to apply because you have to read what is written in the job description. So it's like we are looking for specifically this person or this kind of job requirements are there. If you have that, then please look for it. And when people don't look for that and you have to, I did not know that. It's in the stupid job description. How can you not read it? And those kind of things are something in the resume, at least like basic things that you should have in there. Some people also upload. So in India, some I have hired in there and they also upload their marital status, like if they're married or not, or something like that. Is it those kind of personal information is needed in Korea or not?
To be honest, I don't think you need to write if you're married or not in your resume. Some Korean companies might ask it in the interview
session.
Yeah, some Korean companies. I was actually asked if for a company I did not work for. They asked me if I was willing to marry, if I was willing to have a child, but I didn't go to
Now, I guess that is true for many things. For foreigners, they also ask because they think like you might leave the company, right? And Korean companies want you to stay there for a longer time. So that's like a really common question, I guess. They ask mainly to females. Like they also ask if you have any child expectancy or if you're going to have a kid or not, because then you would get the holiday, pregnancy holiday leave and those kind of things. Not all of the companies ask for it, but I guess like if they're a really traditional company, the old way working company, then they do. And I cannot say don't work for it because you need a job, but it would be a little bit hard for you to work in those kind of companies, right?
It's not often, but some like traditional and kind of small companies might. Yeah.
Right. Okay, let's go back on the resume side. So, how can you tailor your resume depending on the different industries you are applying for? So, for example, IT companies have a format, which is totally fine. We talked about it. That's the same format. But if you're applying for something in, let's say you are working in, newspaper or writing job. Is there anything else or you have to tailor for resume in that kind of industry?
I think rather than like tailoring format, I think it's more important to state like only the relevant experience. Like for example, if I'm applying for a newspaper, I would always put ones like I work for my school's university newspaper and I also intern for a newspaper, so I would put that kind of sort of on top. If I was, let's say, applying for like marketing, then I would put like marketing experience kind of like more highlighted. I think sort of that feeling.
Like uploading or writing like more information under that experience rather than in others.
Yeah,
like, okay, I've done this and I've done that. And when you're writing the information, like customizing your resume for the job, I guess it's really important. So when you write like in this company, I have done XYZ and it helped me to develop this skill, which they might find like, oh yeah, she done this. The leadership skill that can be that for a newspaper company, like creative writing or critical writing or whatever, like, which you realize by working in something else, right? That is something that people can do. Okay. So apart from that, like, is there anything which comes to resume that people have to know?
So like when you're writing, I guess like more about like the cover letter side, a lot of people, like rather than just writing everything in one big chunk of a paragraph, a lot of people put subheads for each kind of point you want to mention. And it's actually like more advised by the HR people because it kind of captures the people's eyes. So a subhead for like 3-4 words short, you can bold that. And that kind of makes it easier for people to read.
Yeah, like skimming through the thing. And if you're doing that, that's an awesome tip that you can put in your cover letter. So does that mean that you have to prepare 3 things? You have to prepare your resume, then and the cover letter when you're applying for the jobs in Korea.
So if you're applying for like a foreign company, like a UK company, I had a English CV, English resume, Korean resume, and Korean 자기소개. So 4. And I guess for international students, a lot of people would be willing to work for foreign companies. And even if it's the traditional Korean companies, if it's like for global divisions or if they're hiring international students, they would still ask for English and Korean. So I think it would be best to have those variations.
Yeah, like English CV, Korean CV, English resume, Korean resume, and just in case like a child is always prepared, you can have the tip like having the spreadsheet of your skills, the points that you want to mention over there, so you can like go to that and it will be easy. You don't have to brainstorm from the start. I guess like that's a really awesome tip. I should have done that when I was in the job. So any example you have in your mind that is like a successful resume?
Well, I mean, for resume, ones with like a lot of work-related experience, of course, is a plus. And also, like skill set wise, if you have skill sets that the company asks for, like if you go to like minimum or preferred qualifications, they always state like we look for people computer skills, like language skills or design skills, whatever. And having those skills that are check marks by the company and having them in your resume is always a good.
Is there anything which is like a really basic question right now? Font or like the like any kind of size of the font? Do we have to think about? Like, is there any basic or what is it called, like standard format for that?
For font size, I went anything between I think 10 or 12, depending on how I can fit it all in one page.
Don't go too small just because you want to put lots of information, right?
10, 12, somewhere between that. And fonts in Korean, anything like, 고딕 font, like 맑은 or 나는 고딕, I think those are kind of the best options.
So if you go in, I guess like if they go in Word, if they're writing it in Word or even Google Word sheet, then they have like 고딕, 나는 고딕 there, right there. So I guess like you will be able to find that. So I have seen like some people when they want to upload lots of information, they put like smaller fonts, so it's hard to read, and that's like a big no for me. I have found this one resume which I thought was amazing. Is nowadays people can make a website on Notion or somewhere else, or even for free, right? So if you want to add really like something awesome and want to show a past experience project or something that you can share, or anything that you have prepared for a company, just add the link of that in the resume so that people can go for it, and like literally say the link somewhere in the top so that the hiring people or the HR will actually click on that. And going that extra mile really helps.
Yes.
Because that means you are willing to work hard for the company and it stands out in my work. So I always recommend the foreign students who are willing to work in Korea and apply for the job is like, make sure that you're or adding a proposal or something like why they should hire you, what you are offering them, what you can give them as, what are your unique skills that they can use to grow their company. And if you add those kind of things, I guess that would be a real big plus, right? Okay, so imagine I applied for the job, I got the job. What's the next thing?
Next thing, your first day.
No, not your first day. You did not get the job, like the first process, accepting from the resume is done. So the next thing you mentioned is a task.
Oh, yeah,
right? I guess it was not that common before, but nowadays it's really common to have like a task given to you that you have to give them like a strategy or whatsoever. Is it becoming common for almost all the companies?
To be honest, conglomerates, yes, very common. And I think it's being even more common even for like smaller companies. They would do like really basic tests. Actually, for a lot of the companies I applied for.
Right. Even I applied for, when we were hiring, we give them a task. And we try to see like how much, like that shows lots of things. How willing are you to actually work hard for this job or something like that, right?
It would be anything like I was asked to, for PR, I was asked to do like translation. I was asked to write like a example press release. For journalism, I was asked to write an article. There's a lot of things like marketing. I signed up for a social media position, so they gave me like an event and they asked me to write a tweet. So those things,
I guess like that would be, so my jobs that I applied for or I hired for, or my friends working, they are all kind of in IT. Like, so for marketing, there is one extra document that they can send as portfolio. So whatever campaigns you have done, so if you have done like Google campaign or Instagram campaign or something else, so they add like, we have done this campaign, these are the samples, and this is like the performance that we got. Like these many people signed up, or these many people like actually liked or watched the video or something like that. For this, of course, like you're adding the confidential information or something. So they write the PVP or like, okay, these are all like confidential information. You cannot put it out. If you do, that means that you are violating something. They add that. And for the task, for marketing, most of the times, as you mentioned, they ask you to come up with a tweet or something. Tweet is not that common, but they are asking you to come up with a strategy.
Business strategy.
Right? If we want to launch this product in this market, what kind of strategy do you think we should come up with? Kind of a thing. And even for foreigners, because they want you to do something in your own country, maybe most of the time. So they ask you to like, what if we launch this product, or you want to market this product in your country? What are the strategies that you would come up with? Or they sometimes ask you to do research as well.
And like presentation, like call it PT interview. So they would ask you to like come up with a business strategy, and you basically do like a presentation.
Right? And for the designing job, they ask you to come up with like whatever designing, make a poster or make a small video if they are hiring for a video job. So I guess like this kind of a thing is becoming more common, not just in Korea, but I guess in every country nowadays, right? Okay. So imagine you are done with the resume and you pass the task, and now it's the interview, right? The first interview, oh my God, that's really important. How's Korean interviews are like? Let's talk about startup companies first, and then we'll talk about video, which is big companies. How's the interviews like in startups?
I think startup, it's going to be it's mostly you get interviewed by the team leader or the people that you're actually going to work with. And they mostly tend to ask like direct questions about your experience, what can you do, your skills, and kind of those questions, because startups, they want people that can work like straight after hiring. They want people who can actually do the work. So yeah.
Then again, they would also check your Korean there. So it can be in Korean language, I think that's one. And even if sometimes like they say that minimum basic Korean needed, so at that time you don't have to do the whole interview in Korean, but you might have to like at least be able to speak up your mind, right? So when we were having the foreigner in Korea, the questions that we asked in Korean were, what are your strengths? 뭐 장점이 뭐예요? 단점이 뭐라고 생각해요? 이런 거. 왜 조이한테 관심이 있으세요? 이런. So, like, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Why did you apply for the job? What are you expecting to do? These kind of, at least these basic questions they would ask you, so it would be really recommended to prepare those answers, right?
Yeah. And I guess also one question I was always asked was, can you introduce yourself in 1 minute? Kind of that thing. That was asked almost every time.
Okay, so how to ace that question?
So for me, I always thought of it as like a tell me more about yourself question.
Apart from your name, where are you from?
There actually are some candidates that would just say, hi, my name is whatever. I'm just
so like, hi, I'm Nidhi. I'm from India. I'm XYZ years old, and I came to Korea 8 or 9 years ago. So just by saying that, you are done 20 seconds almost. So that's not, I guess, like sometimes what we're looking for, right?
For me, I always started with like the first sentence that would best catch the interviewer. Like I would start with I'm Tae, but I would say I'm Tae. I'm a candidate with whatever qualities that makes me like a good fit for what position. And then I would kind of go into depth about the qualities I mentioned. Like first, I have these qualities because of these experiences, and second, blah, blah, blah. And I always thought of it as like throwing hints at the interviewer. This is what I have, so give me these follow-up questions.
Yeah.
So I think that's like really important.
I guess that is a really important tip again. Like if whatever you are including in your introduction, people will be getting curious about those. So if you are like making them curious about, okay, what kind of thing is that? I want to know more about her that experience, or how did she get that skill? How would she hone that skill? That kind of thing. That is the best example. What I did, I guess, like some people also look for like a unique thing, experience that you had from your past. So in your Chalisoge, in your introduction, if you're including, it's like, hey, I'm from India and I did this in India and I did this in Korea, and this helped me to understand this kind of perspective. Which has broadened my views or my Shia, what is Shia? Like,
my mindset.
Yeah. It's hard sometimes. And because of this, I think like I'm perfect for the job. Or like appealing yourself in a way which is not forceful, but still a lot more natural, right? That is a common first question that they ask.
Yeah.
I guess the startup or the small companies interview, IT interviews are a lot more easier than going for the big companies interview because they are done in like 5 people at once. And oh my god, that's so nerve-wracking. It's like, because everybody's answering, or if maybe I'm the first person out of those 5, or maybe I'm the last person out of those 5. If I'm the first, then I don't know what to say because it's the first question that I get. And if I'm the last, then everybody has said everything that I want to say. Then I have to think about what I can say, which will make me different from all the 5, right?
Yeah.
What is it called? Group interview?
Yeah, like group interview. We call it Pageda interview. Yeah, it does happen. Yeah.
That is a lot more common in like Samsung, LG, those kind of big companies when I apply for it.
Yeah, and like sometimes, like because there's a lot of candidates answering, like interviewers would ask you, what do you think of the answer that the other candidate gives? So always listen to what other people are saying.
Yeah, just don't think about your own thing and listen to what other people are thinking. Oh my god. Okay, let's talk about like those kind of interviews. So what happens in big companies when they have the interviews?
So mostly the interviewers, they're going to be like the big CEO, the head of the HR, also like maybe like the vice president. It's going to be like really high executive people. There's like a low chance you would see team leaders or people you would actually work with.
Are there any common questions that they ask in those kind of things?
So like apart from introduce yourself, of course, like strengths and weaknesses, they also ask you like what makes you a good fit for the position. And that question really wants you to answer like what work-related specific experience I have. And they also ask some like challenging questions as well. Like they sometimes ask like, did you encounter any challenges? Did you encounter any hardships? And how did you overcome them? Sort of
That's a common question in lots of foreign countries as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think when the answer kind of suggests is like, what is hardship to you? Like the answer is like, okay, this is the most hard thing that she or he has gone through, and this is how they come up with an answer, right? So, okay, how can I prepare for this kind of interviews? Like a lot of people, literally, they get so nervous in the interview and they just froze.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can I actually prepare for the interview?
For me, like I basically made like a huge list of expected questions. I would write answers. I won't try to memorize them word by word.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Interviews actually don't like that. So I would try to memorize the keywords and kind of memorize the keywords and on site go back to my memory and then follow what I wrote back rather than have to think of everything on the spot.
Yeah.
That
I guess like having the keywords is really good. The problem with memorizing is like if you forget one thing, then you would do kind of thing, right? That's not good. Keywords is nice. Practicing is nice.
Yes.
At least for the English practicing nowadays, I have seen so many different reels or the short form videos where they say that go to ChatGPT and ask them to be the interviewer and like ask you the questions and also ask them like how to answer. Again, that works for English, but that was hard to work. Korean also works, but ChatGPT or any other AIs, Korean is not that good.
Yeah.
At the moment, so don't like memorize answers from there. You can take the reference, but I don't think like it should be recommended. Right? Practice makes you perfect. Go in like I guess lots of websites also have the expected questions, then list of the expected questions and how you can answer for that. Knowing a little bit more about the company, I guess it always helps. Right?
Because they ask you about like kind of facts, basic information about the industry you're going to be in. They actually ask like for engineering or kind of like construction, IT, they ask you like terms.
Oh
They want you to define it. So learning about the industry is really important.
Wow, awesome. We did talk about a couple of commonly asked questions already. So I guess like strengths, weakness, introducing yourself, and like why did you apply? What can you provide this company? Harder challenges and how did you overcome with that? Apart from that, I guess like it would be really based on that. I had a really interesting experience when I was applying for the job. Korean big companies, they also do, before the interview, they do a test, which is MBTI test. I literally had that experience where I had to go through that test and then they come up with my personality and they see like if I would be a good match with that personality.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Do they still, like, I think many companies might still do that.
Like, even if it's not in MBTI form, they do like personality kind of career aptitude tests. Like, they won't ask you anything about like industry knowledge. It's like, are you like willing to challenge yourself? Are you like this kind of person? Do you value kindness over whatever? Kind of those questions.
Because every company have their own traits. That goes well with the company. I guess like they try to find out from there. And I remember going for I cannot say the name, but like a really big company interview when it just graduated one day, and the interview was at 9, but they asked us to come at 7. And for 1.5 hours, we had to go in the room and everybody was given that big sheet of aptitude test and everything, and we had to like write if I would do this, that. They give you the situations, like in this situation, what would you do? I would go and talk to people, or I would go not go and talk to people, and those kind of things, and they try to come up with that. And again, like in the interview, then it was like not like multiple group interview. It was 3:1.
Oh.
So there were 3 interviewers and I was one. And they asked me, it's like, okay, this is the problem right now we are facing. And what kind of solution will you give? And they asked me to come up with a solution right away, like whatever solutions I can come up with. And I guess these kind of challenging questions are there.
Yes.
Like, do you have any experience yourself that you felt like, okay, this interview is hard?
Like, for example, like I was interviewing for like a marketing kind of position. And they asked me to come up with like a solution to one of the projects that they were currently doing. So they gave me like, we're currently doing this project and we want to achieve this goal. What do you think is the best solution that we should do to achieve that goal? And your brain starts moving fast.
Right.
You have to think fast.
In that time, you have to give that. I didn't think, what kind of things you can do to prepare for that? Is there anything that you can do?
They ask those questions because that's the actual project they're working on right now, and they want people with knowledge in that project. So I was told that I should read every news, every business project they're doing in this or the past year, so I know what they're going to ask me about. So,
I guess like not even just that. I guess when you told me that, it's like reading would really help. Maybe at least knowing some basic common answers. So for example, if they're asking you, hey, I want to go to India and we want to launch a skincare product in India. How do you think we should launch a product? And if you just say that, hey, go to India and put it on the biggest website there and do Instagram marketing or YouTube marketing, do you think like they did not try that? So they are not looking for that answer.
Yeah.
So see like what are the common strategies there out. So they are looking for something unique or that might give them an answer. Like at least they are trying to test how much you know about the industry. Right? Now let's talk about like the other preparation which does not require like education or knowledge. It's like how can I prepare dressing or how I sit or those kind of things.
Unless it's like for intern interviews, I think it's okay to go like a little business casual, but still like kind of a formal black pants. Maybe your blouse or shirt could be like gray, navy, whatever. But for like full-time, like regular employee positions, I think it's best to go with like black formal business suit. I also went with that for my interviews.
I guess like for a female, there are only 2 options. One is skirt.
Yeah.
I literally bought at the time. Nowadays you can rent it out.
But
at the time there was not that kind of service that I knew of. So I had a black skirt. I still have that skirt. So black skirt with black coat and white shirt in it. And or you can go with the pants. That's also totally fine, but they require you to actually be in the business. Right? Apart from that, is there anything else that they have to worry about with their hairs or anything else? Female, male, both.
Like 10, 20 years ago, like female, if you had like long hair, you were told to tie it. But to be honest, right now, I think unless your hair is like a huge mess, I think it's okay. Just any like clean hairstyle. If your hair is like my length, just like this, I think, or you can tie it, anything's okay.
Don't smell.
Oh yeah.
Don't smell. Wear like nice shoes. I guess like they're not sleepers. As long as you're not. I guess like they're looking at your attitude, which is like kind of similar in any other country. When it comes to Korea, I think like they expect you to do a little bit of makeup when you're going for an interview. Apart from that, I haven't seen like that many different things that they want you to do, right? Yeah, I don't remember any of. Apart from that, I guess like the thing that I have been told is if you're nervous and if you don't know what to do, just smile. Smile as much as you can. Okay, these are really basic things that goes anywhere. So we talked about different kind of interviews and what kind of questions they have, how to dress for an interview. You can rent, nowadays you can rent it out for free. You can get it from your friend as long as you're not like living as that's totally fine. So let's talk about the interview process. So we talked about the big companies where there's a group interview or it can happen like 3 or 4 interviewers in one person. But in many companies I have seen like the same day the interview happens in 2 slots. So first is with maybe, like at least if they're hiring a foreigner, the first one is maybe like the skills and all the difficult questions. The second one is like the language skills or where the HR or the actual person you're going to work with is going to come in. So every team have like their own personality, right? Some teams just like to work on time. Some teams like to work like a little bit more. They care about how kind you are or some other creative skills for designing teams. So I guess like it happens in two different sections. And sometimes HR also comes in, right? So I got the interview, I passed the interview, and now it's the second interview. What's different from the first and second interviews?
So there's a lot of types. Sometimes the first interview could be the more related to job competency, we call it like JIMK 면접. And then the second could be like the 임원 면접. We call it like the higher executive interview. And for that, rather than asking more about the job skills, they could ask if you're a good fit for the company. And like you said, it could be, another one could be like the first interview could be about the job and the second could be about the language skills. It, I think, happens for Koreans and foreigners as well. Like sometimes I have to sit in the second like English interview, so that would only be done in English. And I guess for foreigners, the second one would only be done in Korean and things like that. Yeah, so those kind of types.
Passing the interview, now it comes, you nailed the first interview, you nailed the second interview, and now it's like job offering letter. What are the things that a person has to know when it comes to job offering and negotiating for the salaries?
I think we can explain it in like two different, like if you're like a new entry-level employee and if you're like an experienced hire that can. Okay, so for the latter, you have the power to negotiate your salary.
Like if you're an experienced person, then you have the power.
You, for today HR, you state like what salary you want, maybe go a little bit over because they might kind of want to lower it. Yeah, and state like why you need that high salary. It could be your experience, it could be the skills you have and things like that. But for like entry-level applicants, in Korea, entry-level applicants don't really have the power to kind of negotiate their salary. We kind of call it like a pay table, pay scale. So they have like a set salary that all the entry-level employees will have. It's going to be the same for everyone. But after you work for the company like a year or two, every year you're going to get a chance to negotiate your salary at that time.
Yeah, depending on like what is your performance or something like that. Yeah. Awesome. So if you're an entry level, then somehow it's sorry. I'm sorry, but in Korea you don't have that much room to negotiate unless otherwise you are applying for a little bit expert position somewhere where they're applying, or in small companies or IT companies who might have received like a big investment recently, they might give you a little bit room to negotiate. But apart from that, if you're experienced, you might have a little bit more room, right? Do you have like the percentage they should ask? Because like when you are changing your jobs, they ask you for so many documents from your last company, like how much they want to see, like how much your salary exactly was. So they ask you for and so much other documents. So how much you can go when you're negotiating?
I think that really does depend. But I would say at least go more than the 10% because like, as we said in the before episode, ones that get a promotion get the 10% increase. At least go way more higher than that. Yeah.
Right. So what can be a little bit more over asking? So what if like somebody asks for 30 or 40%? Is it common in Korea?
I think you can ask. If you ask and if that's too high, HR will say no, or we need to be lower.
But what if like they just say that, oh my God, this person is over evaluating their skills, and they might just say no. So I'm giving you the example in India or in many countries, you can sometimes even ask for 100% of the salary increase, depending on how much you can offer to the company, and you really have to negotiate it well, and that is fine. But in Korea, will that be possible? Like, what is the minimum range? You said like ask for 10. What can be the maximum they can go for?
To be honest, from my experience or like what I've heard, I never really heard of people say like 100% increase. 30-40%, I think that's kind of negotiable if you have the skills that the company is looking for. Yeah.
Awesome. Guys, got like so many tips. You should like literally look for that. Okay, before ending this whole informational, so deeply inspiring session today, do you have like any other tips that you can give? You want to tell people who are applying for jobs in Korea?
For interviews, there's actually like a Korean term. We say 연감을. It means 면접 interview. 까놓기 전까지는 모른다. You don't know the result until you get the offer from the company. So there were interviews where I was really nervous and I thought I really just flunked it. I was like, I'm definitely not getting the position, and surprisingly I got it. So I would say even if you walk into a room, you answer the first question, you're nervous, you think this is not going to work, just go with it, go confident. Interviews are going to work if you make it happen, so never lose your confidence. Yeah.
Right. This is the tip that I give to my colleagues and the people who talk to me. It's like, they don't know what you are going to say. Mm-hmm. There is no right or wrong answer. There is no right answer for what's your strength, there is no wrong answer for like what's your weakness. So as long as you're confident in your answers and you're saying it with like, hey, I know what I'm talking about, I guess it will pass through. Right? I guess that's what you have to do. Be confident in your interviews. Be confident in what you're trying to say and prepare. Like Koreans really like to prepare. If you don't know how to do that, search it online. There are so many ways you can go and search it online. So please do that. And best of luck, you can nail it. You can do it. So believe in yourself. And sometimes if you really want to apply for a job in a particular specific company, just email them and ask them if they have any openings or what you can do for them, like by making a proposal or something. Surprisingly, some companies like that, and even if they are not having any job openings, they might look at it as a positive sign and like passion that you can show for them. So that's also another way. If you are really passionate about a particular industry or company, just go for it. Prepare for it and go. But the main point is preparing. That is like all you have to do to prepare for a job in Korea. If you have any other questions, again, let us know in comments. And if you have any experience that you have experience in Korea, which we haven't talked about, also let us know for other viewers. And your questions will be answered. We will just get it back for a small session next time. Hope you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.